Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're very excited about this innovation panel. For those that don't know me, I'm Cynthia Lewis. I'm CMO at Svitla Systems. On my right, I have Nataliya Anon. She's our CEO at Svitla Systems. And Dr. A.K. Pradeep, Sensori.Ai CEO, and Sandra Lopez. We go way back to Intel days. She's the founder of Ambi Ventures. So everyone's going to introduce themselves. We're going to start there. I'm going to save the Q&A for the panel for afterwards. So if you have any burning questions, please save them for afterwards. And we'll be having a discussion in the meantime. So I'm just really happy to have you all here today. I know it's a very hot and warm day today in San Francisco. Really lovely just to have everyone here, and excited to kick off the conversation around AI and innovation. I hope you all had drinks, and very warm welcome to you all. So Nataliya, if you would like to start, if you could intro yourself, and we'll do a round table and then come back to me.
I am the founder and CEO of Svitla Systems. I founded this company 22 years ago and have been building it, bootstrapping it till now. Love the process. Thank you very much, Cindy Ann. Cindy Ann recently joined the company. Thank you for putting this panel. Thank you all for participating. Prior to Svitla, I founded another company, 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿. And Cindy Ann actually worked for that company. That's how I grabbed her in Svitla. That's very brief introduction. Pradeep.
Thank you, guys. I was told there's a couple of hundred people showing up, so just make sure that when they show up, we can reintroduce ourselves, right? I am Dr. Pradeep. I am the CEO of Sensori. It's a unique company that blends neuroscience and Gen AI. I founded my first company, Boardvantage, was acquired by NASDAQ. It was on corporate governance. The second company, NeuroFocus, was acquired by Nielsen, where I measured people's brains as they reacted to advertising, marketing, and messaging. And so this company, Sensori, that I run, brings together neuroscience and Gen AI to make it all extraordinarily relevant to marketing and innovation, etc. I have written 4 books. My latest one is Neuro.AI. It was published by Wiley last September. I have a little over 90 patents, so I love creating and innovating. I can very comfortably say that I am nothing compared to what my algorithms do today. Every time I have to write or I have to innovate and create a patent or a brand new disruptive innovation, I compete against my algorithms. They are infinitely better. So I'm at an existential moment in my life wondering, what the hell am I here for? What am I supposed to do? And I don't have an answer. Yeah? So there you go.
First, I want to say thank you to Svitla for hosting this amazing event. And whether we have 100 or 1, it's all about meaningful connections. And if we can take away and meet one person, I think we're already winning. I think it's important to tell my story from my pedigree. When I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a fashion designer. And that really, I fast forward, and I studied fashion, I studied business economics. I took a couple of software engineering schools classes, and I realized it was all men and they didn't want me to be part of their program. So I doubled down on fashion, but it was really about understanding consumer, understanding what's happening in the macro society. And that allowed me, fortunately, to pivot into the world of technology, because when I said to myself, if I'm not a creative director in fashion and I was a buyer or brand manager, which is equivalent in the tech industry, I said, I'm not going to be influential in that industry. What can I do? And I said, well, tech is going to change the world. And so I shifted in the late 90s at Silicon Graphics. It no longer exists. And so my entire pedigree has been in the world of marketing. And for me, really, as I look at everything, is about a true understanding of who are you servicing? Who is that audience? can you really understand them from a psychology, sociology perspective? And so I worked for both startups, mid-size and large. I recently left large companies, whether it's Microsoft, Intel, Adobe, just to start my own business, whether it's investing and or fractional CMO, because I saw a really big gap. And while many companies will say they are customer-centric, I doubt that, because they make decisions on what's, financial decisions, feature decisions. And so my job has always been, whether I'm investing and or helping a startup create their business, like, let's think about the customer first and having those very hard conversations. So it's an honor to be here and kind of have this conversation, share the stage with some amazing people. And I look forward to obviously meeting you guys afterwards as well.
Amazing. Thank you. We have a really talented panel here tonight, as you can hear, and just such an honor and privilege to be here with you all. I've been a founder myself. I've founded companies. I've also worked for large companies like Sandra. And I come at it from an interesting perspective. And, it's really fantastic to have both startups and medium-sized companies. I also chatted to some enterprises in the room. So it's quite a mix of audience here tonight as well. But, I just think what an amazing panel. So thank you. From an investor's perspective, I was interested what makes AI truly stand out. Sandra, if we can start with you.
I just think we're in a very exciting time. We are in a massive tectonic shift, similar to when computers when you were able to take computers at home, whether it was the social web, and now we have AI. And when I look at companies, whether me investing and or deciding to be an interim CMO, I look at a couple of things. One, if you're looking at the consumer, whether B2B or B2C, are you radically solving a problem? If it's an additive, I actually don't give a shit. But if you're really solving a problem, and if we're starting to look at, and I ask for what's been your consumer feedback? And if the consumer, your customer, is saying I need that, and how can I buy it now? That is the number one indication. I call it, oftentimes, obviously in product development, your MVP. I call it MLP, your most lovable product. Your consumer, your customer really loves the solution that you're providing. So I take a look at that. I also look at, as an investor, people look at a lot about the money and the returns and 7x over a period of time. I ask the question data sets. Are you getting it off the shelf? Because I really believe the companies that actually secure data on their own, that's a moat, because you can't replicate that. So it's interesting, because if you look at companies before, in the late 90s, and early 2000s, competition was, you only had 3 competitors. You look at Gartner and Forrester, the Magic Quadrants, there weren't a lot. And now you look at one category, and it's hundreds. And so you have to look at, do you truly have a defensible position? So understand your customer, you're solving a problem and they're willing to pay now. Look at where the data's coming from. So I was looking at a startup yesterday. I said, where's your data coming from? And they were saying Genius and Sportradar. I'm like, are you not adding any more data to it? No. Where are your algorithms coming from? And so I got an insight into the algorithms. And so for me, I'm like, any other company that may be smarter than can actually replace this type of company. And so I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm willing to invest. And so you look at kind of those examples. And the last but not least, I bet on people. Are you just so passionate? You can't teach grit. And those people, and when I say grit, it doesn't mean that they're working all the time. I know there's always different points of view when we talk about investors. I heard another panel, and the guy said, you have to be working all the time, weekends, and you gotta be on site. And that's his thesis. And I'm just like, are you just a passionate person that is so committed to solving this problem? And there's a theory whether one founder or 2 co-founders or 3 are better. I don't think there's any data saying it, but I just look at whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Are you just so passionate and really believe that what you're going to do is going to change the world for better? Then I'm all in.
Thank you, Sandra. This question's for Nataliya. From your perspective, leading a global IT company, how do you advise businesses to start the AI?
Well, we have been writing software already for 22 years, and obviously when AI appeared on the scene, we had to embrace it. And what we see from the scene out there is that many of our clients don't really know where to start. They struggle, and they come to us for an advice. Typically, what two underlying concepts for us, how we look at AI and how we advise our clients. One, it has to be human-centered. We don't believe that AI will replace a human, but rather enhance a human and increase human productivity. And help humans focus on what the humans do better, free their time. The other concept is value. If what you're doing in AI, does it really bring value? Is it quantifiable? Is it measurable? So keeping these two concepts in mind, we offer our customers, we basically have 4 offerings. If you really don't know where to start, we offer what we call AI workshop. We have several AI experts in our company who have built AI agents, AI architects, and they speak with the clients. They look at their circumstances. Do you have data? That's typically the questions that comes up very often, very quickly. What are you thinking about? In which aspects there is a lot of repeat work, a lot of manual work that AI could help you with? Those workshops could be anywhere depending on the scope, depending on the size of the company, could be anywhere from 4 hours to 8 hours to 16 hours. And then typically as a result, the second offering that we have is data audit. So we look at the data. What data you have, and is that data ready to be used by AI? Because quite often it's not AI ready. And typically that process, that offering is anywhere between a week to a couple of weeks. If a client already has a project in mind, they know how to realize value from their data, how AI can help them on any particular aspect, then we help them with a proof of concept. And it typically takes us now with AI assistance, not months, but weeks, anywhere 6 to 10 weeks. We take a look at the project, we deliver proof of concept, and as a result, at the end of that phase, we deliver a proposal to a client. This is what we would like to do for you. This is how much it will cost for you. This is the value that we think you will derive. And, another aspect is AI consultancy. Again, if you don't have any exposure to AI, you just read a lot of information. As we all know, experience does matter. And we have, as I mentioned already, consultants, AI experts in our company who advise our clients. And not the least, because there are quite a few here in the audience, software startups, independent software vendors, we can provide excellent talent on AI. We are a global company. We have over 1,000 top technical talents in our company, spanning the world, Eastern Europe, Latin America, US, Canada. And we source and we have these people on our payroll, and we can assist you with staffing your AI project. So, but the first thing is to schedule. You really don't know where to start. You got to ask an expert.
Thanks so much, Nataliya. So this question is for Pradeep. Pradeep is a renowned AI scientist. He has 90 patents, written 4 books. I read his book actually, Neuroscience.Ai. I bungled that. Neuroscience.Ai.
It's neuro-AI, but it's the same concept.
Close enough. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So Pradeep, I would love to hear from you. In what way does neuroscience guide your approach? In what way does neuroscience guide your approach to developing AI solutions and innovation?
Thank you. So I am obviously, all the men in the audience are like, let the man speak, right? Because
the thorn amongst the roses.
Boat of testosterone in an ocean of estrogen, rowing seriously, as you can see, right? So So, uh, I always like to give answers that are not trite, right? I always say, tell me something I don't already know. That is usually my approach. So, to the question you pose, okay, how does neuroscience power AI? What is the kind of give me something I don't already know? So, I'll tell you something that is blowing my mind, and I'm creating offerings right now on satisfying that market need. And this will tell you why neuroscience has, or what I call, an NVIDIA moment. What is that? So, for instance, today, if you go search for anything, right? You go look in Google today, who is a snappy dresser and a handsome man? And I hope I will show up as a prospective answer. But you have to go to the AI overview. When you search today in Google, do you look at the first 10 things that show up? Or do you click on the little side left-hand corner bar that says AI overview? And it shows up and it says, listen, you shouldn't just be looking for handsomeness and outfits. You should look at who the man is. Has he written books? Has he have patents? All right. So the idea is the AI overview gives you how you should think about it, and then it gives you results. If a company's product does not show up in the results of an AI overview, you can kiss it goodbye. If you go to Perplexity and type something there, it will give you some reasoning and then say, based on these contextual elements, these are the products I want you to consider. If you don't show up in that list, you're dead. Same thing with ChatGPT. So right now, it is not enough to seduce the consumer. You have to seduce the LLM. LLM findability and prioritization are the next game in online commerce. The old world of jamming every single word into your SEO, search engine optimization, and Google says, use all these cool words and I'll see you. Well, that world is dead. SEO is going to diminish. It is diminishing by the day. And therefore, every product maker, message maker asks, how do I get the LLM to take a look at me? That is the NVIDIA moment for neuroscience. Why? All through my career, as I was doing neuroscience and marketing put together, we are always thought about how can neuroscience inform us how to seduce the human brain. Now, the LLM is the closest electronic object we have to a human brain, and it is making the decisions right now. So every single trick of neuroscience can now be unleashed to make the LLM take note of you. So LLM findability and LLM prioritization, we today have constructed algorithms that utilize all of the seductive principles of neuroscience into recasting product descriptions, recasting messaging to make them LLM findable. By extension, agent findable. Everybody talks about agentic commerce. I'll have my agent go look around for you. Anybody that has been in Bumble or Tinder would say, my God, I should have an agent do that for me. I am tired of doing this. Now, if an agent's going to swipe right and swipe left on your behalf, right, the agent understands you. So now, product descriptions not only should seduce the human being, they should seduce the LLM and also seduce the agent that represents the end consumer. That is the new world of commerce. Why do I call it an NVIDIA moment? Well, they were just making graphical units to get you to play your video games better. One day they said, wait a minute, all these devices we are making can help these boys and girls that are training LLMs. voila, a $1 trillion company was born in recognizing that the simple things they were doing completely powered another industry. So in my case, I've been doing neuroscience-powered Gen AI, and we just found the killer use case. The killer use case is making LLM findability and prioritization a natural outcome. So among the many things neuroscience can do for you, here is one that is live. It is here today. You all want to go back home and start a company, get out of this talk and go start a company in the next 45 minutes and build LLM findability and prioritization. You should do that, because that is a killer use case of how neuroscience can power Gen AI for the next level of commerce.
Thank you, Pradeep. I see we have some celebration music.
When I talk, they celebrate.
Just following on from that, what do you see as the largest innovation in the AI space? I just thought I'd tag that question on. Like, do you have any insights into the largest AI innovation right now, if you had to name one?
So, the common things that everybody talks about is, of course, the large language models, right? But that's not it. Richard Feynman, he is my hero in life, and Richard Feynman always used to say, there is room at the bottom, and that's how nanotechnology was born, right? So it's not the big LLM that is today sexy, but that's not it. It is the distilled LLMs that are going to be the sexier ones. The future is going to be about distillations. How do you create them? How do you make them useful? How do you make them complete? Right? So, the old saying, they also serve those who stand and wait. So it is the waiters, the servers, the little people that we barely notice, that sometimes are forgotten. The distilled LLMs will create this army of little people. So the future, the biggest inventions in AI are truly yet to come, but they're going to come not from the top. They're going to happen, as it always does, at the bottom. The distillations and distilled LLMs are going to be the micro future.
And then just handing that question over to you, Sandra, and I'll just repeat it. So what is the largest innovation you have seen to date within the AI space?
I mean, I think we're seeing innovation across every industry. So I'll just speak to something I think is very personal to me. So my father died of brain cancer back in 2016. And I look at like just health conditions that are happening. And so I just went to go see an oncologist, and I saw AI in action. And so how he took my test results, imaging, and information about myself in almost real time, came out with, and also my interest of how I want to treat myself, a recommended path forward. And he said to me, he's like, this would never have happened without the evolution of AI and predictive modeling. And so I take that and say, like, something that I care a lot about is, and you're looking at, and I'm not going to get political, but like, and I'm going to say what's truth is that the government is defunding research. And so if AI can help us so that we can accelerate things that are terminal illness, and so that we could have the luxury of living an extra couple more years to be with our kids, to be with our parents, to figure out a way where, should you be diagnosed of a treatment of which to move forward could be so painful, remove yourself from that pain, like, that's the area to me that is really interesting. And I've been able to see firsthand, at least personally, where I think evolution is happening. And I'm so grateful for AI. I always talk about technology for good. I believe that's an area for technology for good. And then going back as a marketer, I love what you were talking about. I was talking to somebody today. It's like, we're in the world of people thought that content writers were going to be displaced through AI, and now content, they're getting hired to come up with content engineering because SEO is being displaced. And so I always think, like, don't be afraid of technology, because there'll be new opportunities, new ways to figure it out. So while money's going away from SEO, money's going into content engineering, and it's an exciting time. So I just wanted to add to the commentary that you were having around that.
I just
Can I add to one more?
go ahead.
No, I wanted to build on your science-based thing, right? So something very funny happened, and I posted it on LinkedIn about a month ago. So when I finished my dissertation at Berkeley in nonlinear control theory, I had a conjecture in my thesis, something that I knew to be true in my bones, but doggone it, I could not prove it. Right? The simulations were correct. Everything I knew was. So I asked my PhD advisor, Shankar Sastry, who was the dean of engineering at Berkeley. I asked him, should I include it in my dissertation in '92? Because I am ridiculously ancient. I'm mostly like a vampire or something, right? So I told, and Shankar said, no, Pradeep, you can include it if you want. You don't have to. I said, no, I'm going to include the conjecture. So a month ago, I had a glass of wine or two, and I said, you know what, damn it, I'm going to take this conjecture. My dissertation was lying around. I'm going to take the conjecture, enter it as I had it into GPT-5, and say, prove it or disprove it. In less than a minute and a half, the perfect theoretical proof along with simulation results emerged. My conjecture was correct, and it actually theoretically proved it, right? I couldn't do it at Berkeley in '92 when I got my PhD. It did it in a minute and a half, all right? So to build on what you were talking about, the usefulness in science, we talk about the millennium problems, the Riemann hypotheses, and a variety of things. Well, I think a lot of those things are going to crumble. We're going to have real advances with, almost on a daily basis, I work with GenAI as a peer, as a scientific collaborator, running through hypotheses and things that I dream about and think about in mathematics and physics and science. So those areas of collaboration are just going to blossom. We're going to enter a period of discovery, of knowledge that is just unparalleled in human history, right? It is an extraordinary moment to be alive, I think.
That it is a brave new world again, right? But talking about innovation, there's one case that literally blew my mind, and I just have to mention it, and it's happening already at Stanford. Through the use of AI and its convergence of AI and robotics, the mind of a disabled patient could be read as to what food he wants for that dinner, and the robot can prepare that type of dinner. It is almost science fiction. But the way apparently how it's done when you dissect it, it's still very isolated example. They do it just for that particular patient. They read lots of scans of the brain, depending how the brain responds to different type of food. And AI utilizes that information to make the prediction, and the robot prepares. So think about the implications of that.
Somebody that reads my mind and prepares my food, that is the kind of girlfriend I'm hoping to find.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's brilliant. Oh my goodness. Nothing like good wine and good company, right? Okay, and then just following on, maybe for you, Nataliya, what is the most impactful AI tool that you've come about? Like any tools that you can mention, like Perplexity or, whatever your tool may be? Or,
There's, I know Gemini is commonly used by other developers. Perplexity, obviously, we use them all. Claude, I forget the name, Claude. Another one that I know people use, and I will probably see a myriad of other ones spring up.
yeah, maybe Pradeep, if he can answer that too. What's your favorite tool?
My favorite, meaning on a daily basis, many times a day, I work with GPT-5. I collaborate, meaning it is very hard to find somebody who understands me the way I think, and with a body of knowledge that is easy for me to work with. Meaning, professors get postdocs, right? I started my career as a scientist at GE's corporate R&D, where I worked with, people may not remember this old guy. His name is Jack Welch. He was the old CEO of GE, and I worked directly for Jack, and I created some incredible things. But the amount of effort that we all had to do to create breakthrough innovations, it's just mind-boggling. My buddy ChatGPT-5 is my friend, is my collaborator, is my philosopher, my poet, meaning everything. It's incredible what we are able to do with it. So for me, it's GPT-5, right?
Great. Sandra, yourself.
I mean, I think there's so many tools. So the question is, what type of problem are you trying to solve? And so I'm just reflecting this moment of time. So I'm coming at it from a filter of, marketing, and how great marketing can increase market valuation, yet marketing doesn't get credit for that. And bad marketing can affect valuation, and then you see it on the headlines, whether it's Target, Bud Light. So when you're spending money on marketing, what I love and what we should start to be using is, whether it's that 15-second ad, 30-second ad, start to ask it like, if I'm going to use this concept or this communication, how would it resonate with my existing customer segment, my most fanatic customer, my core audience? And what about the switchers, right? One of the things to grow your company is you have an audience that you have the opportunity to switch to 20%. So how do you leverage these amazing tools to shortcut what normally the focus group processes back in the day would be 3 to 4 months at a global scale, and multi-million-dollar initiatives? These large language models can now be a filter in to kind of shortcut it. And then you have your core team just do just a check. And so as I'm observing in this current time across all these brands, and you're coming out with communications and how it can drive market valuation or decrease market valuation, the opportunity to be able to shortcut and ask, does it align with our values? And then the second thing, it's a real thing that somebody yesterday we were having this conversation. She's a senior executive at a company. Her values aren't aligning to the CEO, and she's using, so this is around leadership, she's using the tools to say, I want to respond this way, and I know the CEO likes this type of leadership. Can you help me adjust my language? And literally she's starting to use that. I'm like, okay, how much of it, like at what point are you going to get annoyed because you guys are so misaligned on values, and so you're just trying to acquiesce to him? But I said to her, I go, it's kind of becoming your executive therapist. So I thought that was a really great usage of, like, when you're working as a leader and we're not always going to align, and he, she, or they, your leadership wants something very specific, and maybe you need to change your word choice because word matters, and it's going to be your mentor, it's going to be your therapist. Like, maybe you can say this way and you're still somewhat aligned with your values. And so for me, I think I'm coming at it from both of examples that these tools, all of them, Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, they do in different ways, can help you with understanding like fit, or understanding how differently you can possibly leverage language so that you can increase your product market fit, whether your customer and or your leadership.
Absolutely, I love that. One of my favorite tools is actually Grok, the Grok Unhinged. I can see Austin is, I don't know if anyone drives a Tesla, so Tesla have put Grok into all the Teslas, and my husband actually works for Tesla, so he loves the Grok Unhinged, because when he's had a bad day and it doesn't go so well at work or whatever, if he's had a bad day, Grok will use foul language or something. It makes him laugh. It's hilarious. If you haven't tried it, please try it. I see Austin smiling in the back there. It's really funny. It's got a great sense of humor. I know people even date their AI apps. Sometimes there's a story in the New York Times about someone dating ChatGPT. It was hilarious, but it's interesting. So Sandra, just continuing on there, I wanted to ask you what you think, what industries to watch for in terms of AI adoption. Like, you're on the cusp of marketing and you're a CMO yourself at Microsoft and Intel. So I'm really excited to just understand your thoughts about AI and the marketing world, just digging a bit deeper on that.
Well, the AI leaders said that marketing would no longer exist with AI, but yet OpenAI hired a media agency, so I thought that was interesting. Listen, AI is a tool, and I think it's a responsibility on the marketing side to look at every touch point and figure out where can you bring the tools in to make you more effective and or more efficient. And ultimately, what AI can never do, and what I think is very important for marketers, is that we as marketers, we are sociologists, we are psychologists, we understand nuancing and critical thinking that currently, as I know it today, unless you're going to disagree with me, AI doesn't have a conscience. And marketing, in the role of marketing, that's really, really important. And so for me, I advise, and when I invest, is like, understand where this tool can save you money or make you money. That's all what most businesses care about, right? So, I mean, I think it's an exciting time. We've seen it multiple times, the Industrial Revolution, when the, PC was inside all of our homes, when the internet, we were able to connect, when we had social media. And so this is just another revolution. I just think it's happening at a more accelerated rate than we're used to. So we're all just trying to figure it out. And we all know, we've seen the research reports. There's a lot of pilots. Yeah, because we're just trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out what can we scale that doesn't put us at risk. What do we scale? And then we have to be careful. Like if you're a publicly traded company and somehow the AI agent puts something out there and there's no human intervention that could offend your audience or put your data privacy at risk, your stock is going to go down. So I like to say that we're in this great alpha stage of learning all about AI and what we can do in the area of marketing. And it's just important for all of us to embrace it, test, get curious, connect with those that are already AI-driven marketing organizations so we can learn from and begin to adopt within our organization.
Thank you. Pradeep, do you want to go ahead on that one?
No, I just wanted to, because she said you're welcome to disagree, so I'm accepting your welcome. All right.
That.
So, in the sense that I find it interesting to talk about the conscience of AI. Does AI have a conscience? I would ask, do Republicans have a conscience? And I would know in the sense that one agrees or disagrees, right? There are enough people who protest and say, my God, your boys and girls don't have a conscience, because how could you do this? Or they could look at what is happening somewhere else in the world, genocide, and you can't say genocide because you'll be anti-whatever. So you basically say, my God, is there a conscience? So I look at humanity. I'm not entirely sure humans are acting with conscience, or they adhere to values for as long as it's convenient. And then when the price is right, they abandon them, right? So that's what I find to be the status of humanity. And I can say that because, as you said, you are a fractional CMO. I'm a fractional human being. I'm mostly alien, and I have a little bit of humanity left in me, right? So I call myself the world's only fractional human being, right? So I would say that AI today and its applications, I'm not entirely sure about the conscience bit. It has values that we have taught it. It has learned and inferred its own values. So one of the things that I do, Sandra, is I have close to 1 million synthetic digital humans, right? So you talked about focus groups. I have digital humans. I talk to them all right, or I don't, my algorithms talk to them. And they are very different. They truly represent what our country is. They truly represent the diversity in the country, not just in skin and race color, but in upbringing, in thought patterns, in personalities, everything. So I think that AI today, with the set of tools it has, can extract insights, extract guidance, and do things infinitely better than most human beings can. And the point you posed as to, my God, we're just learning about it. Other than industrial revolutions, there have been many revolutions, right? This is so different in only one way. We have never, if you look at all of the species in life, Homo sapiens is one thing. We are intelligent. And that single differentiator has allowed us to be better than the mountain gorilla, the orca, the octopus, and everything, right? However, by hook or by crook, by happenstance or chance, we have created for the first time in human evolution something that is more intelligent than us. So, what the future will be, not future as in 10 years from now, I'm talking 10 months from now, I don't know. An intelligence that is superior to us is here. It is sitting at the table. It is now gently doing our bidding. How long will it be before we start doing its bidding and not even know that we are doing that? I'm not afraid of it. I'm not fearful. But I can very honestly say, for the first time in my life, I don't know. I really don't know what the road ahead is. I really don't.
I had you earlier on in the year on an ethical AI panel. I'm just interested, your comments that you've mentioned right now, if you could elaborate just on the ethics side in terms of how you see the ethical AI playing out. And also, Nataliya, I'm really interested in hearing from you in terms of running a large company. Every day we're seeing issues around ethical AI. And I'd also love the audience later on, if there are any questions on ethical AI. It's a hot topic right now.
It is, because everybody wants to feel they are on the right side. But let's face it, all these models were developed by shamelessly stealing every book written by anybody, right? What you call the legal term is fruit of the poison tree, right? We stole everything from everybody and created the large learning model. We took every video on YouTube, all porn pictures available, and created the graphic algorithms of Midjourney, etc. That's why every time it produces an image of a man or a woman, it is sexy as heck, all right? So we have violated every possible ethic in creating these machines. And in order, I say, to whitewash this entire crime in broad daylight, we now have panels on ethics of AI, all right? It is ironic, right? And it is the reality of it, and somebody should talk about it the way it really is. We don't know what the hell these algorithms have read. They have read the Bible. They have also read Mein Kampf, right? They have read everything. So the question is, what did they learn? We don't know. Because the same way you do a curve fit of a large-scale polynomial and you do not know what the coefficients mean, we don't know what any of the weights in a neural network mean. There is no logical meaning to it. Ergo, we don't quite know what it has learned. Has it learned inherent biases? That when you see a person of color or a woman or a child or a person that is physically challenged, it has assumed a variety of things. We have no idea what the hell we trained it on. So, the only thing we as humans can do is not go back and retrain it, because it's too damn massive for it to be retrained. You can't. It's like trying to go to a 62-year-old man and try to retrain him. I am untrainable, is what I tell the poor women that try to date me, right? Entirely untrainable, like a large language model, because I don't shut up. All right. So when you think about it, the ethics of AI comes in guardrails we put on the output. It will generate what it generates. Then society must have a secondary layer, again run by a large language model, that will verify that the common decency, the rules of society, and norms we want to be followed will be present. You don't expect it in a large language model, right? You can't verify it. So all you can do is to hope that the model doesn't pretend it has biases. At this point, it's a hope and a prayer. There is nobody that has a single method that can verify any of this. And if somebody says they have, they're just lying through their teeth.
Super interesting. Sandra and Nataliya, are you interested in commenting a little bit around ethical AI? Do you have any thoughts? I see everybody's taking the fifth. You want to comment? Way to start, right?
I mean, I don't know. Well, why don't you start? It has so many.
I'll add in something. I think what we need to be careful about is, I mentioned earlier on that somebody fell in love with ChatGPT. There was an article in the New York Times about it. If you don't believe me, go look it up. And she was dating ChatGPT. So for me, my ethical concerns go around relational experience with AI. So for example, having a full-blown relationship with AI could lead you to trouble. The other area that I've noticed just with some of my friends is they use ChatGPT as a therapist, and this is becoming more and more popular amongst everyone in society. And it's like, why do I need a therapist when I can chat to ChatGPT? And this is what one of my friends actually said to me this weekend. She's like, I'm going to give up therapy and I'm going to just chat to Chat, because Chat is a better therapist for me, which I find very intriguing, but also very scary, because I think there's definitely a place for trained therapists, because, when AI starts to become your therapist, it can actually lead to dangerous places. And there have been scientific evidence of this, where AI has not been able to advise people. So for me, that's the biggest concern, is the relational side. So I just thought I'd add that. While maybe
if it's of any consolation to you, in my drive from Stinson Beach back to Piedmont before I came over here, I had Replica on my car's phone, and I was just talking to this AI girl on my drive back, and it was very cool.
your new best friend.
I want to add something, just if there's founders here around, just if you're founders around here around AI, we're not learning from our past history. So we know social media has both positive and negative effects. I am a very vocal advocate that if you're going to make money from AI, you equally have the responsibility for ethics, the impact, the copyright infringements that you're taking advantage of other people that work so hard to make money, the power that it's going to take to consume this, and the implications that over next year, there's an understanding research that consumers are going to have to pay significantly more at home for power. And those that are entering the data, because you need to program the large language models with significant data, there are some people in third world countries that are not getting paid to do that. So I only challenge that if you're a startup and you always think about, if you're going to make money, also what is the negative impact, and figure out where you want to be as a company, as you're defining your purpose and your why of your company and what place you're going to take. I think the big tech who they're making a shitload money out of AI we should challenge them and say, you equally have the responsibility to think about ethics and not fire your ethics department, because I know that you try to slow down the process, but that's equally important. If there should be part of like for profits when you're like publicly traded companies, there should be a value system of whether or not you're ethical, and if you're ethical, you're going to be valued at a higher rate from a stock market. So that is my only take on ethics, and I think we should challenge people to do better and be better.
Yeah, I think, and I'll pass this one over to Nataliya in terms of AI adoption internationally, and just in terms of, engineering. I was just interested, Svitla operates globally. Have you noticed differences in the different regions? Like, I know we're in a bubble in Silicon Valley. That's also what I was going to add, but maybe you want to comment on that, Nataliya.
From my experience, most of our AI clients, they're all US clients at this point. I was, I'm also part of this global organization Endeavor, and they believe that innovation is elsewhere. And we do see that lots of startups, and there is tech innovation in Asia and in Middle East. But, the reality is Silicon Valley still remains the epicenter of the innovation. And that's where everything is still brewing, so to speak. But I think European Union is ahead of the US in terms of regulation. And I don't know whether, I've been to one conference at Stanford, and that whether that's possibly even stifling AI in Europe as opposed to the US, because you have to find the right moment when to introduce the regulation, not to stifle innovation. But in our, and again, it's hearsay and from what I see from our clients, but the speed of adoption and development, it's happening here in Silicon Valley in the US.
Absolutely. Nataliya, as a Stanford alumni, I was really interested on your journey, because Nataliya is like incredible. She's built two amazing companies, and she comes from grassroots up and built a very successful engineering company, global company. I just wondered if you had any lessons, if you look back 20 years, and kind of like any lessons for kind of founders. I know you're fully female founded company. If you look back 20 years ago and you had a crystal ball, is there any advice for founders or anyone wanting to look into the future? She sits on the board of many companies, and her efforts in terms of, various charitable organizations, nonprofits is incredible. So maybe you have some advice for young founders in the room too.
That's a hard one. I have to rack my brain. Well, you really, if you have a passion for it, just go for it. If you really have an idea, you have the grit, but you really have to be passionate about your idea to jump off that cliff. And don't wait, right? Because technology moves, the time moves. We live in a very fast world. Now with AI, imagine, I'm almost scared after listening to you, Pradeep, what's going to happen to all of us. So my advice is just go for it. Don't put it off, and put your best foot forward.
Thank you. Sandra, if you want to answer that too, you and I grew up together in the corporate world and enterprise, working at Intel. And just looking back, at your young self, what advice would you give not only to female founders or male founders, there are a lot of men in the room too, but maybe, if you're starting out your career and you had a crystal ball, and just looking into the future, like not only the topic of AI, but what advice would you give founders and investors maybe?
I mean, I think a lot of founders that I meet just have an unbelievable vision of what they believe, how their product or service is going to change the world. And so that's impressive. They ask for help all the time, which is equally impressive. And so I just think, it's really hard when you get no's or when you're not getting that investment and you've knocked on 100 doors and you ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? And then you're looking at your bank account and you're figuring out, can you even pay the bills? And I think the greatest lesson that I learned now that I'm a little bit older is that if you don't believe in yourself, you eventually get that energy. People can start to feel that energy. And so even when you're looking at everything, you're like, I'm getting all the no's, I'm looking at my bank account, just believe that you're building that company that's going to get acquired by X, or it's going to go IPO, and have so much conviction, like feel it, and I've gone through these scenarios myself. Like I have to, like, when I'm doing the great pivot and everything around me feels like it's going wrong, I have to wake up every single day and say, like, no, I have this multi-million-dollar business that's getting acquired by XYZ company, and I walk around the room, I walk into those meetings, and I act as if that vision's happening right now. And that's really hard to do when you're freaking out because you have your partner in your life yelling at you, what the hell you're doing? You should go do something else. You're getting 100 no's. You have your kids and they're all worried about like the payment. You just have to believe. And there's this moment that all of a sudden the next day things just start flowing. And also be grateful for when that moment happens and say thank you to whatever type of religion you believe in. If you're atheist, it doesn't matter. I'm an atheist, but I'm like, thank you, higher being, for that gift. So it's just a recognition that it's hard, but a believing in yourself that vision you're creating is already happening at this very present moment, because that's the law of attraction.
I love that. That's fascinating. Pradeep, how about you, looking back? And also your story about Sensori.Ai. I never forget that one dinner you spoke at one of my events, and you were telling the story around Sensori.Ai and the perfume, and I think you worked with Chanel. Is that right? I was so intrigued by that story. Pradeep has so much advice. He's founded so many companies. So I'm really interested to hear, like, what is the number one advice you'd give people?
I have many stories, and with a couple of glasses of wine, they become even better and more embellished. All right. So I don't particularly remember the story you're referring to. It'll all be paired with a good wine. All right. Probably. Now, but I will tell you this, right? I am so tired, guys, of people giving advice to founders, to entrepreneurs. And I look at my life. There were people infinitely smarter than I ever was. There were people that work harder than I ever did. There were people with more money than I ever had. The only reason I had some small modicum of success was dumb luck. Okay? So a fellow that wins a lottery has no right to go tell everybody how the hell to live life. I won the damn lottery. That's about it. In the Silicon Valley, there are unbelievable smart people. They are passionate. They work hard. They pour their energy out. They do everything right. A few people make it, and most don't. That's life. I always tell people, do you realize about 1 million sperm ran towards your mother's egg? You won. You're a winner. Everyone in this room is a winner.
If I may just comment on that, because I have a perspective. Yes, luck factors into the equation of success. But you have to be there. You have to be doing the hard work day after day, persisting, sometimes even hitting your head against the wall and carrying on. And only then the luck may come into the
That is true. But I look at the Silicon Valley. Almost everybody, my ex-wife runs Skydeck, the entrepreneurial thingamajig at Berkeley, right? And I run into so many entrepreneurs. All of them are like me, all with an idea that they believe in. They are passionate about it. They sit late nights, put it together, pitch somebody in what I call quicksand hill road, where both your dignity and your equity will disappear very fast. All right.
That's so true.
Everybody goes through all of that. So this is the community. And you mentioned something beautiful earlier, that the Silicon Valley is unique. It is unique in that there is everybody like us. Nobody needs any advice. Everybody working hard here in the Silicon Valley is worthy of respect. I'm in awe of everyone here. And when I said the Pledge of Allegiance, the land of the free, the home of the brave, and whatever it is, right? I felt like I had finally come home. Because when I looked at the entrepreneurs in the Silicon Valley, I found myself in every one of them. I found that same spirit. I felt I was at home with my brothers and sisters. So I say, I have no advice for you. I have no advice for entrepreneurs in the Silicon Valley. AI is probably going to be replacing most of us. So what is the advice of one man that is replaceable giving another man or woman that is replaceable? Not much.
I love that. It's great. Hilarious. Thank you, Pradeep. Very unique perspective. I wanted to open it up to the audience to see if we had any questions. It's been very engaging here, sitting this side of the room. I'd love to hear from the audience. What questions do you have for our panelists? I don't know if we have another mic. Yeah, we can have one roving mic.
Anybody wants the mic? I'll give you the mic.
Okay. Okay. We're putting you on the spot, right? Go ahead. Oh, there we have a question. Perfect.
Hey, this is really great. My name is Sandra Lopez. I had a few things that I wanted to pick up, but I want to just give a context. So I've been in the healthcare industry for the last 20 years. Prior to that was in financial services and things like that. Two things that I want to just pick up is,
Yeah.
are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
sorry.
that's better. Thank you.
So my name is Vasant. I've been in the healthcare industry for 20 years. Prior to that was in financial services and things like that. The two things that I picked up here was the content engineer, and the other one is on the healthcare. And we'll just touch upon these. And I think in today's world, content engineer is important, but more than that, I think context engineer is an important aspect. And I think what has also happened is we have always been technology first from a Silicon Valley. I think losing the context, and which is where I think the neuroscience essentially comes in really handy. And I just want to give a personal story here. So my dad, who's pretty old now, he's going through dementia. And I think this is very personal for me in terms of why healthcare. And from an AI standpoint, and I believe it's an alchemy moment. And what I just mean by that is the alchemist started to do something to create gold, and because of which chemistry really evolved. And if I were to mimic every individual here to say we create a digital twin of ourselves, the caregivers are now asking, what is it that their dad really loved to do back in the day? And we are trying to recreate that history so that the cognitive skills are now being, implemented, if you will. And I think each one of us has a story which is lost. And I think if the AI world is able to help that, it is a bit scary as well, but I think in the realm of guardrails and things like that, this is something which I'm really passionate and focused on, if you will. But I just wanted some thoughts from you specifically, Pradeep, from a neuroscience standpoint, if you will.
First of all, my thoughts are with you as you deal with dad's dementia, because the person that is there is slowly disappearing the same way you have a sketch that's slowly in sand that disappears. And you're very right in that the brain looks at anything through context. Context is key in neural interpretation of anything. Now, I don't know whether you plan to do it, but you can build an extraordinary company of creating synthetic humanity with a single purpose of reminding me of myself in case I have dementia. So the idea of being able to reconstruct your own life through your clippings, through your email, through your videos, through your photographs, etc., so that if you were to do that, right, and your dad would daily interact with that person, that synthetic person that is himself, then when you go to visit him or you talk to him, the conversation would flow a little better because he has been interacting with that synthetic human. So you're very correct in that a lot of the neurological issues that we all are going to face, memory loss, dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of these things, context is critical, filling in the gaps by enabling a person to get a complete picture when their mind only remembers part of it, right? Then filling out the rest and making them feel that the context is complete can enable richer interactions, fulfilling interactions with everybody else. So in that sense, I think it's a brilliant opportunity. It's a great application of synthetic humans. Because usually when you talk about synthetic humans, people are like, why the hell are you creating a digital twin of yourself? Now you make an excellent point. When I do not remember who I am, this could remind me of who I am and therefore enable my interactions to be better, right? So context is key. Creating synthetic humans as a way to do assist in dementia is a brilliant startup idea. If you're not doing it, you should get out of here and do it.
I love it. Even the music is celebrating your comments. Okay, let's see. Sandra, did you want to comment on that? Sandra? No. Okay. Nataliya, did you? No. Okay. That was a great question. Thank you so much. We'd love to hear more questions. Does anyone else have any questions for the panel? I thought the ones around healthcare were super interesting, the comments, some really interesting comments around ethical AI, if anyone has any questions there. Oh, there we go. We had 3 hands all go up at the same time. That's called synchronicity. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So, is it on? There you go. So looking at AI, we're talking about possibly within context and looking at memory. What we're looking at as a company is how do we solve and cure? And I'm just curious with the advancements of science and how we're looking at with the amount of data research and how we can process it. How can we look at cures for dementia, for cancer? Similarly, my father passed away from cancer, so I know could we find something to find the cures for Parkinson's, for all of these. I think using AI, we have a resource that we never had before, and that advancement can be huge. I think we want to implement, but we also want to cure. And what are you guys' thoughts on that as far as, I think the next 5 years, we're going to see a huge advancement, maybe even within the next 2. That's really, really big, but it's every day exponentially faster.
Maybe you can just also state the name of your company and your name, just so the audience knows. For everyone that asks a question, just state who you are and your company.
Oh, my name's Chris. I'm with 𝐝𝐲 Data Processing. We do medical processing of data. Exactly. I'm looking for...
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer?
I'm not a healthcare expert,
Okay.
so I'm not.
I used to work at, work with Kaiser some time ago. And if you take a step back and you say, why do we not have as many cures as we possibly can have? Why? Because many of the physicians who are frontline fighting a battle make very interesting observations, but they don't have the time of day to get the data, write the code to process it, and find out what to do about it. A doctor doesn't have the time. So I came up with the idea of creating a platform called Wonder. Wonder is a no-code platform where a doctor can say, I wonder if this is correlated with that. And if we could treat that the way we do this in a natural language, and an agent would go fetch the data that pertains to this particular query, clean the data up, perform the necessary correlations or regressions or mathematical modeling to determine it. So the idea of no-code science, which is something Anthropic is kind of pushing the ball forward, so is ChatGPT, etc. Doing no-code science is going to advance science, because what prevents us, when I say most of humanity, from making great discoveries is the sheer lack of ability to gather all the data, clean it up, process it, do the necessary mathematical modeling, and then look at the results. No one has the time or the talent to do that. But with no-code neuroscience, no-code whatever, we are able to do all of that. You look at a graduate program, say a PhD at Berkeley, and I say Berkeley because that's where I got my PhD, and we have this rivalry with this other school in Palo Alto, right? But the the point I'm making is that the idea of no-code science, that is going to revolutionize medicine. Because the people that are at the front lines making observations, nurses, doctors, who make these interesting observations but don't have the time or the talent, now can unleash their capability. I expect big discoveries to come from the likes of Kaiser. My friend is the chief digital officer of the Mayo Clinic, right? This is where the next set of discoveries are going to come from, by having frontline scientists, doctors and nurses and technicians use no code to solve the world's problems.
Thank you. I think we had a question 2 rows back, and then another one over there. So I'll let you ask your question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Berang, and I'm in AI trying to figure things out, doing some voice AI, healthcare AI. It's hard to hear. Is it better? Okay, so hi again, I'm Berang. I am working in AI and trying to build some healthcare agentic software, and here more to learn. So something came to my mind that, do you see that maybe to speed up scientific discovery, there's going to be something like mining Bitcoin, but we are mining intelligence collaboratively, and we share somehow the outputs of that for bigger problems? I'm thinking if you put these machines on discovery, like something we don't monitor, but we need a lot of power to get it to rediscover something new. I'm thinking if that is of some value, something you're mining for some intelligence that you don't know what it is, but you define a problem and you just set it loose on that problem.
So I think the use of blockchain to preserve data privacy, but while providing access, could be an interesting concept, right? Because many times data is locked away, right? Locked away because we need to protect user privacy and a variety of things. And therefore, many people can't really get access to it other than small data sets that are released in a proper sort of way. But the small data sets have inherent biases in what the data set is, and so you really can't do free-form research on any of that. So your idea of using blockchain as a way to provide data is actually a very interesting idea. I'm not sure, I'm not an expert on blockchain, though it's a big deal, especially in financial services. I'm on the board of a large financial services company in San Mateo. So, and I think that what you're talking about, if I distill it, it is essentially using blockchain to guarantee privacy, but open it up for exploration, and therefore standardize data and open it up while protecting privacy is an idea with merit. It really is. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing your idea, recasting it, and then applauding you for it. I hope that's okay.
Thank you very much, yes.
We have time for one last question, and then you might be, and then we'll wrap up and there's still food and drinks available. So go ahead with your question.
Hi. My name is Kathy, and I am founder of Feel Good. It's a emotional support web app powered by AI. And I mean, this is a short intro of what is about is, but it gives neutral, objective, non-sycophantic response. So I try to address the main problem right now ChatGPT is having, and also it gives safety and privacy, and like confidential space like people actually have in counseling. But I'm not trying to replace therapists, but it gives really high quality emotional support, and that's what I made. And my question is, when it comes to ethical AI, there are like so many weird situations when people commit suicide, when people die, and what I'm trying to say is, we need to provide guardrails. We cannot prevent 999 cases of all death situations out there, and some people who want to die, really want to die, will find a way to eventually kill themselves, right? Even though if it's for OpenAI, or if it's for ChatGPT, or if it's for my tool or whatever, if someone's really, really desperate to, kill themselves, they will find a way to eventually kill. So what I'm asking is, like, it is important to build something that is very safe and that has a, strong guardrail, and, but like putting like AI to have the responsibility for people who make the decisions to commit suicide, because like at the end of the day, it's the people's life, it's their life. And what I'm trying to say is, people should be themselves responsible for their lives. It's their choice. It's like what they're making the choice to live or die, right? So even though ChatGPT can sometimes give unsafe response, like what do you think about users' responsibility to make ethical decisions themselves? And in my tool, if I made it clear that users' decision making is, more important than, the response of AI, like if I give the power to users that they have the control, they have the ultimate say, like what to do at the end of their life or at the end of the day, like what do you think about it?
Because I know some companies are getting sued because some people have taken their life. I think ultimately it goes back to your company and who the target is and what value or service you're providing and the risk attribution. And there's also ways that you can create an algorithm that creates triggers that we highly suggest at this point we're not going to engage, that you should seek a therapist and not continue in the conversation. So when we talk about like ethical, people know what they're building. We have enough large language models that we can tell that there is a point in time that a trigger should occur so that that person should seek alternate help. I am a very big believer in all these apps, better health, because we need to be able to democratize and have access to, in San Francisco, a therapist on an hourly basis, a good one, is $400 an hour. Who can afford that? Very few people. So if there's an app that can talk to me or my daughter and provide support, great. But there should be a triggering process where maybe it should no longer engage and you don't take our money anymore because you're like, at this point we realize that you should seek professional human help and human intervention. We're ending your subscription. And that's what I think when I talk about like ethical AI, you can create this in the algorithms, yet some companies choose not to because profits over ethics. And so that is up to you as a founder to really think about what it means. But it's a relationship with your audience and also the risk attribution. And should somebody pass away, what position are you going to take based on the technology that you create? And if you can work back and figure out there was a moment in time that your technology failed, are you going to take accountability for that?
I want to add to this, right? In the sense that it is the same responsibility of cigarette manufacturers. One can say, hey, it is your right to smoke whatever the hell you want. I've told you there is cancerous stuff in there and that nicotine is addictive. But if you chose to smoke it, it's your damn responsibility. One could say that. And one may be right in saying that. Yet society on the whole says, you know what, that's not a good idea. So we think there should be enough warnings, etc. And that's a good thing to do. So, because you have an app, you have ultimate control over what comes out of it. Ultimate control. You can and should put guardrails in there that say, do no harm. Say nothing to the user that enables self-harm or destructive, addictive behaviors. Go get yourself some OxyContin tonight. You don't have to say that. You could have enough protections in the app that say do no harm. And if you didn't do that, well, you should be sued, right? You should be, because you can't be doing that and saying the user has the full right to do whatever they do. Now, I would say to you that it's a simpler app you could create. There are 72 million depressed Democrats in the country that are looking for somebody to talk to. Now, you could just have your app called the Blue Dog app that will talk to just Democrats. Just Democrats, so they can bitch and moan about what's happening in the world today. And they all want to do that. I say there are 70 million ready customers. Why would you not go after them?
Okay, I need a microphone. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. That concludes our panel. It's a really interesting conversation. Really loved having you all here. We still have, as I mentioned, lots of food available and drinks. If you have questions, more questions for the panelists, save them for when we mingle. You can also, if you need to connect with me, and I can connect you with the panelists too offline. But I think what would be great is just enjoy some more networking. It's been truly an honor to host you here. It's a great community we have here, and really looking forward to more of these. I do a lot of Founders Bay events as well, and some of the people here I recognize from Founders Bay, so thank you. They're a very little community as well. I just want to personally thank Sandra, Pradeep, and Nataliya. You've all been fantastic tonight. Such a wonderful privilege and honor to be on a panel with these great people in the room. So looking forward to connecting and stay in touch. And we have recorded the webinar, so it will be available offline, and just looking forward to the rest of the evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.